What's up, Trainiacs? Welcome to this week's Triathlon News Day Tuesday, where in this week's edition of Triathlon News Day, triathlon is held in honor of the memory of those affected by Sandy Hook. Wahoo makes a big statement, changes a lot of things, and we find out how much pro triathletes make. It's a good one. Stay tuned. What's up, triathletes? Welcome to Triathlon News Day Tuesday, where every single Tuesday, as long as I'm not traveling and there is news to talk about around the triathlon world, we talk about what's going on. As always, full links to everything we talk about will be in the description below, and make sure you stick around to the end where everyone's favorite part of Triathlon News Day is shared, and that is a story from the Trainiac community. I really like the one that we've got this week. Now, let's start off with a triathlon that was held over the weekend in honor of Chase Kowalski, who was one of the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting a number of years back. Now, this triathlon was participated in by 200 children who participated in this program that was organized by the Chase Kowalski Foundation over the course of 6 weeks, which taught kids how to swim, bike, and run because Chase loved triathlon and swimming, biking, and running. And the program culminated in this triathlon that they did in memory of not just Chase, but those affected by the Sandy Hook shooting. So I've got to say thank you to the family and the friends of Chase Kowalski, and it's great that you are doing something like this in honor of him. Next, Wahoo, the makers of trainers, the Wahoo Kicker, the Wahoo Element, the Wahoo Climb, the Headwind, have very much been aligned with Zwift over the last few years, but they have gone and purchased Sufferfest, one of the main competitors to Zwift. The details of this acquisition weren't really disclosed or discussed much at all, but what this tells us is that Wahoo isn't necessarily a Zwift-only trainer company. And we've known that because it is compatible with all different trainer roads and Sufferfests and Full Gas and Zwift. But the fact that Wahoo is making an acquisition specifically to a competitor of Zwift, which is kind of like the 10,000-pound gorilla in the world of smart training indoors, lets me know that Wahoo might actually be wanting to compete with the platforms that it is supporting. So this is really interesting to see how it plays out. Next, how much does a pro triathlete make? Well, we get to find out every single year in one of the most popular blog posts done by any pro triathlete throughout the course of the season. Cody Beals just published his annual income report. It was really interesting, particularly this year, because we talked with Cody when we had him on the podcast after last year, which was a breakout season where he won a number of races, and we asked him, would he actually publish that income report, considering that he is basically now a fairly successful, profitable athlete. Now, in previous years, Cody had been basically either under the poverty line or making minimum wage. And that was an interesting story for people to follow. But the question is, now that Cody is a very profitable, successful triathlete, is it detrimental for him to publish these figures that show that he's making over $100,000 a year? I think something to keep in mind is that, yes, while he is making that good a living this year in triathlon, A, that's not certain for future years, and B, it wasn't always that way, and you had to struggle for a lot of years to get there. So go check that out. The link to it will be in the description below. Now, before we get into the race results, and there were some good ones,
this video is brought to you by the Magic 5, my swim goggles, and pro triathlete Ben Canute's swim goggles. The Magic 5 makes swim goggles that are custom fit to your beautiful face. Just download their app, 3D scan your face, and order a set of goggles with the gasket custom molded to your exact eye socket. The Magic 5 goggles fit without leaks or having to smash those goggles into your eyes, and you will have more viewing area than you've ever had with any other set of goggles before. Check them out at themagic5.com.
Now, as far as race results go, half Ironman Astana in Kazakhstan was held over the weekend, which was won on the men's side by Nils Frommhold and on the women's side by Radka. I still can't pronounce your last name, Kahlefeldt. Please Instagram message me a story of how you actually pronounce it. Kahlefeldt. Kahlefeldt. Got nothing. Ironman Vitoria in Spain was won by hometown favorite Eneko Llanos, who is the only male athlete to go under 8 hours for the full Ironman, winning by over 11 minutes. The women's race was won by Heather Jackson, who won by about 12 minutes, being the only female athlete to go under 9 hours. Congratulations to you both. And Ironman UK was held, and normally I don't mention things that don't have a pro field, but that was the full Ironman distance debut of Justin Lippert from the Zwift Triathlon Academy team, who we've been following since we went down to Specialized headquarters and met all of them. And he finished 4th overall, winning his age group, qualifying for Kona. Congratulations to Justin, which gives us a very nice segue into saying that just a couple of weeks ago, we published a podcast with Justin Lippert. And if you want to hear about how he has been winning at Sprint, Olympic, Half Ironman, and now doing well in full Ironman, all while training kind of the same way. And as he puts it, if you're fit, you're fit. Go listen to that podcast. Also, if you're interested in hearing how Challenge Roth went, just the other day, we published the Challenge Roth podcast, the race recap that I did, discussing everything from my nutrition to my pacing strategy to the gear I use to what I ate on race day or the days leading up to it, how I trained leading up to that. All of that is everywhere that you can get your podcasts. Also, finally, on the podcast front, later this week, we are talking with 2012 Ironman World Champion Pete Jacobs about his really interesting journey, having won the Ironman World Championship and then kind of being unhealthy, unfit, overtrained, really not healthy hormonally. Now he's come back into triathlon, is winning races, and he's doing it while eating a carnivore diet. So that is going to be tremendously interesting. Go check that out. The Triathlon Taren Podcast is the still most highly rated triathlon podcast in the world on iTunes, thanks to great, interesting stories like that. Now let's get into the Trainiac Story of the week. It's a really good one. I like this one. And it goes, my name is Matt Shore. A year ago, I was a 42-year-old, 350-pound truck driver who could not do much of anything without breathing hard. Although I was big my whole life, I knew that it was time to make a change. I answered an ad on Facebook for a 6-week challenge at a local gym, and that is the day that my life changed forever. I went to the gym's CrossFit classes almost every day of the week and followed a strict diet. 3 weeks in, I was down 35 pounds. It was working, and I was hooked on the progress. About 3 months before this, I had bought a cheap mountain bike, an indoor trainer, and planned on riding inside to lose weight. I rode maybe just 15 minutes and then proceeded to use it as a clothes rack. I was embarrassed to ride outside and thought people would look at me and laugh. On week 5 into the gym program, I took that mountain bike and traded it in for a brand new Trek Domani S. My first ride outside was just 5 miles, but I was hooked again. I finished my 6-week challenge and Googled triathlons. I always thought they were for elite athletes with amazing endurance, but then I started watching all the stories from people like me, like Marcus Cook's story of major weight loss through triathlon, and those stories brought me to tears. I have a swim background from when I was very young, so I started riding my bike the 13 miles to the gym, but I couldn't run for more than 30 seconds without really bad shin splints and being completely out of breath. The day of the triathlon, I was nervous, a little emotional, and still 310 pounds. I went into that race without any swim practice at all. I don't suggest this. And the gun went off and I swam 25 yards of the prettiest freestyle stroke you could imagine. Then it was doggy paddle and breaststroke the rest of the way. I got run over by the ladies, but I finished the swim. Got on my bike and I thought this will be easy. Wrong. I underestimated the hills and I finished in about an hour on the bike and then came flying into transition and out for the run. But I couldn't run. My legs were not working, so I walked and ran some. Finally, after being pushed by some amazing people out on the course, the finish line was in sight. My chin raised up, my chest pushed out, I was feeling like a pro, and I saw my awesome wife of 17 years, my daughter, and my sons cheering me on. Tears in my wife's eyes made my day, and it still brings tears to my eyes, and I finished in 2 hours and 8 minutes. I was obese, addicted to food, and very depressed. Losing weight and getting healthy has completely changed my life. I was in some very dark places, and triathlon training has brought me out of the doom and gloom. I hope to make it to Kona someday, but more importantly, I hope someone sees this story and knows that it's never too late. And a quick update, I took first in my division at my first Olympic triathlon on Saturday. I think that is a great story, Matt, and you couldn't have said it better. It's never too late, no matter how upset with your life or overweight or sick or injured or not feeling like you are a pro triathlete. You can do something, and triathlon is a fantastic way to feel very good about yourself, just like Matt. So thanks for sending that in. Now, if anyone else wants to get their story shared here on Triathlon News Day, please email it in at Taren@triathlontaren.com. Be sure to include some race photos and inspire some other people to go on their triathlon journey. And if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button below. Later, Trainiacs. I don't like that camera very much right now. That one. It's not good.